Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Insurance Kramer. So if you're here checking out this video, hopefully I came up with a catchy title by now, but biggest idea is I want to try and help pass along a little bit of knowledge that I've gained watching different awesome YouTubers like Jay's 2 Cents or Linus Tech Tips or a lot of those different guys out there that are absolutely awesome. Thanks guys so much. You helped teach me so much by watching your videos and learning how to be able to build my own computer and be able to work through that different stuff. This video is more for, you know what, if you are buying a pre-built computer, there's some stuff, just double check real quick for me, okay? I've bought a couple pre-built computers. I've had some different issues with them. Hopefully there's some nice, easy things that shouldn't be too bad to be able to try and take care of. Hopefully you don't have to mess with it, but honestly, I've seen a lot of different things that have come up, just small mistakes. Try and help check out. So in particular today, we're gonna be checking out the iBUYPOWER TraceMR, I think it's the 234i, and let's get started. So I know you're all excited. You got your computer. You want to just get this thing open. A couple different things I want you to make sure you have first before you start getting stuff opened up. If you can make any investment, I know after purchasing a pre-built computer, you already put a good chunk of change out there. No particular sponsorships on the CyberPower type piece here. They do make a great product. I do know iBUYPOWER. I am buying this one off of Amazon. I'll try and see if I can get the link in there. I do get a kickback on if you do buy it through the Amazon Associates program that I've signed up with. If you do buy a computer through there, so awesome if you do. No worries if you don't. Get a battery backup. If you're investing some money into a nice gaming computer, something to be able to work off of. Sorry that the box is all damaged. It's just what happens when it got shipped here. But they're great. They're not going to run a long time, especially if you're gaming on a computer. But you know what? That little bit of power outages where I live, get a lot of little like flickers that are happening in there. A couple other things that you're going to definitely want. Some type of a knife, be able to help open up stuff, box knife, whatever you want to work with. From there, if you so happen to have a spare fan, we'll have to try and look here to see if we can add any extra stuff. I'm going to be using paper towels and some isopropyl alcohol and some thermal paste. You can get this stuff anywhere from like $5 to $8 also on Amazon. I particularly like this. It's the Arctic MX4. There's a lot of different thermal compounds out there. I like this the most. I haven't been brave enough to be able to try out liquid metal stuff yet. You'll want some Q-tips to be able to try and get in there a little bit cleaner. Phillips head screwdriver is typically what I've found the best. Typically a PH1 or a PH2 to be able to help work on there. That's just a particular size on the actual Phillips head. I can't get it in focus. Oh well. I don't know why I have a tape measure here. Shouldn't need that at all. But if you buy any extra accessory out of any of this different stuff, get a battery backup. They're going to help you out so much more. You could be in the middle of a gaming session, power flickers out and comes right back. You lost everything. You're working on some type of an assignment or some type of project for work. It's just great to be able to have that little bit of extra time to be able to get stuff shut down and turned off properly to be able to help save stuff, especially if you are having a power outage. So let's go ahead and start the unboxing. Okay, going to do my best here. I don't have a nice little camera mount for helping to do this, but let's crack this bad boy open. See what we got inside here to start with. They give some nice instructions on stuff to be able to help look out for whenever you're installing Windows 11 right off the bat. Other things to help keep in mind. Just making sure, okay, you're using the appropriate HDMI port on the back. We'll get to that later on. This particular one does come with an accessory bag. I have seen this at different times come with different stuff. Sometimes you'll get a antenna receiver for your Wi-Fi. You'll get other different stuff inside there. Sometimes I've gotten stickers. This looks like, ooh, this is always exciting. If you get one of these, okay, I'm excited about this. This is like, it's very nice. This is a very nice symbol. This only comes with the Republic of Gamers Edition graphics cards. And this means I lucked out and I happened to get a very nice version of the graphics card that I was getting. So super happy with that. They make a great brand. Honestly, a lot of the different ones out there have been awesome so far. The only one I think graphics card I've had a little bit of issues with has just been Gigabyte, and it's only just been their thermal pads. So a couple little extra screws inside here, some other little paperwork. We'll try to take a look at that later if we need to. Looks like we have a spare keyboard and mouse. Nice little one right here. Nothing too fancy, but does work out pretty great. So we'll check that one out later if we need to. I already have a gaming keyboard, so let's dive in here for the mouse. Aris M2 or Airs M2. I'm not sure which way to be able to pronounce it on there. But you know what? Hey, for a great starting out one, I'm happy with it. Okay, let's switch to the other camera so I can start getting this bad boy out of here. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's switch stuff up a little bit here. They do package these really nice, which I'm super happy about. Try and see if we can't get this one out. There we go. Super nice padded foam along both sides. I like to set that back inside the box. Just makes it a little bit easier. That's not a good sign. When you're moving your computer, you should not hear stuff jangling around. I'll be honest, this is my second try on getting a computer from Amazon. They sent me the wrong one last time, and from what I can see, oh my word, it is busted to pieces on the front end. Well, that's a bummer. That's most unfortunate. So you can start to see it's all broken off. So nice foam padding, and I was hoping to actually give you guys some great news, but there is only one of these 4 spots are actually still any good. Man, this is super disappointing. I bummed out. This is try number 2 on trying to get a computer from Amazon. I know it's just a little front case piece right here. But man, that is busted, 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 busted again, and again, and again. All of them broken. So it's not possible to hold this front face on. Got to make a decision on your own. I'm going to be trying to get a hold of Amazon, see what they are going to do about this. Stay tuned for a part 2. I was hoping to try and do this all in one video, but that's not going to happen. Let's try and see how Amazon deals with this, because this is try number 2 on trying to get a computer up and running. So before I call Amazon, here's one of the issues. This thing must have been just drop kicked by UPS. Seriously, come on. You can see how far this is bent off here, because this whole frame got bent off and smacked up this way. Kicked it out farther up here. You can see how far it is off the glass. I don't know how this glass didn't break. That's impressive on its own there. And so because it pushed so far out on there, then caused everything else to sit and break on the front plate to be able to help hold it together. I wonder if this is going to be an Amazon fix or if this is going to be a UPS fix on this one. I am hoping that none of the components on the inside are damaged. Man, I was hoping to help give you guys an awesome idea, and this is going from a, hey, check out Amazon to be able to try and pick up a computer to, man, maybe be wary of that one. Well, put this set aside over here. Already some fairly disappointing results, what we're seeing so far. Get the screws off this one side. I'm done, and let's take a look. So More some of the plastic pieces. I don't see any cracks or anything showing up on the glass. Yeah, man. You can see that dent right inside there. See what I can get pulled back on there. My biggest worry is if this got tossed around this hard and smacked around this bad, whether or not something happened to the motherboard. I sure hope not. Or the graphics card. There's a lot of jolting around. Oh, that is a beefy graphics card. Oh, flip her down. Still hear something moving around in there. I think it's just another piece of the plastic. There we go, another piece. Bummer. Oh. And another piece. My word. Okay, I need to get this other side off. We'll try and account for all the different pieces. I've had it to where they were jolted so hard, the mount on the PCIe Express for the graphics card was actually broken. So that I definitely won't deal with in any way, shape, or form. Let's see what we got here on the back. Nice cable routing. Let's get something positive in here. It's nice to see. I'll give one thing. I'm hoping that Amazon is at least a lot better about dealing with returns. When I had to return because they sent me the wrong one last time, whenever trying to get this ordered, they were at least nice and responsive on being able to help get that issue sorted. It's definitely much easier than any time I've had to deal with Newegg, which is unfortunate for Newegg on that one. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely well routed on the cable management. Can't quite see graphics card in there. I guess one of the first things I like to do, because I'm not using any of the actual physical hard drives, I usually take this out. If I end up doing that later, I'll save it, put the screw back inside there. It just makes it so much easier if I need to mess with any of the cables. We'll set that aside. If I do decide to return it, I'll put that back in. Set that in the box. And let me set these screws on the back here. Surprised my dogs haven't come in over yet to be able to say hi. Let's see what we got inside. There we go. That's a bit better. Try zooming in some there. So we have 3080 Ti graphics card. And let's go ahead and check to make sure that it is in power mode. So looking at the switch there, as it is to the left, awesome to see. Nice on seeing the power supplies. It's nice to see that clear right there. It means we have some RGB. We have our 240 millimeter CPU radiator mounted up on top. That's nice to see as well. 3 fans coming in. Check those. And we have 1 fan going out the back. We don't have room to be able to add another fan on top. I might be able to move this over some. I'll have to check to see if I have room for cable management. It might not happen. You can see the CP or the fan headers right here, little 4-pin ones. Most likely might not be enough room. From there though, if I have the other CPU cable and stuff, I'll add the extra CPU port onto there to try and check stuff. There's a couple other different things I will sit and try and help show you and double check on. I'm just trying to look for any kind of broken stuff right off the bat here and see if anything else. Well, I'm gonna try and get a hold of Amazon real quick, and I will let you guys know what they're gonna do. Okay, so I'm back. Was able to get a hold of Amazon, try and help talk with them on stuff. Because of having to go through and the first shipment getting messed up, and then the fact now that this one having the broken faceplate type piece on there, I'm gonna see if I can try and fix it. Not sure if I'll use some type of epoxy or glue or a combination of the two to try and even put that front faceplate on there. And the fact that the frame's actually bent, I'm gonna see if I can do some fixing on the frame right now. They were at least able to offer me a discount, which I appreciated. Otherwise, they're gonna have to try and send this back again and hope for a third time that stuff is gonna be working right. Luckily though, the computer booted up just fine, so try and do that quick, trying to bend it back, get that fixed. I'm gonna worry about trying to get the pieces glued together later, then start going over some of the main pieces, a whole video, what I wanted to try and do. Good 5-10 minutes ago in the video probably by now, but I want to try and help give you some tips on some things you'd be trying to do right off the bat to just try and help improve the overall just like longevity, I guess, of your computer. So here we go. So the first piece that I want to try and help get fixed, try and help crimp this back up, try and see if that'll do anything for moving this back, and see what I can try and get done on the front here to help get it realigned, so that way I can help to fit the glass back on there a little bit better and hopefully make it a little easier to actually try and get the threads for the screws to go back in and forth. So let's try and see if I can get that done first. Let's adjust the channel locks here. Starting to fix it. Man, it actually busted right through the rivet that holds that together there. Well, I'm gonna try and find a rivet. I think I have a rivet gun, but I don't think I have any rivets left anymore, so trying not to fix that later, try and help get that done. But man, I wonder if any other rivets got busted out on this. It is a bummer that happened. I just wonder if that's a UPS thing or if that was an Amazon thing. So, well, that did help to straighten it out some. Got a little bit more bending I need to try and tweak out on the front end, and we'll hope to try and go from there. Well, there's a couple more spots that are bent in and busted in that I found. Smashed up over by where the fans are, but the fans aren't hitting on the shroud, so it should be just fine. And we'll start diving into some of the stuff that I think is good to be able to check. Ideally, you would check this first before having to boot up the computer, and hopefully you're not having issues like what I had, be able to try and get the computer. But yeah, let's get started first. Easiest first thing to try and check is going to be your RAM. So here we go. So one thing that I found that shows up in errors, it happens to be done correct on this one though, is your RAM sticks. Now, I'm not in any way some type of computer person that's like an expert on stuff or anything like that, not even remotely close. But let me see if I can get it to show up here. Now, what you have typically on a lot of your different motherboards, you're gonna end up having 4 slots. And if you start looking really close here, one thing that I noticed later on, and ideally helping to read manuals, is you have on these 4 slots, the second one and the fourth one right here, that's where you need to put, if you're only putting 2 sticks of RAM in, that's where you need to put those ones in first. And there's been quite a few different times that the RAM sticks are actually put in the first and third slots instead of the second and fourth, or they were put in the first and second slots, and that was straight from whenever they were actually installed and put in. Luckily, these ones have been done properly, which is awesome. I still like to help double check the seating on them, make sure that they're actually pushed in. help check from there. Next biggest piece to be able to try and check, honestly, it's your main 24-pin ATX right here, this big guy. I've actually had it to where the computer would not turn on, wouldn't work properly. Couldn't figure out what was going on until I started like unplugging and plugging cables back in. In reality, it was just this guy right here. It just barely been off. I don't know how it didn't fry the motherboard, but this guy had not been connected up properly. Nice and easy fix. Next biggest piece that you're gonna start to see is this right here. Nice little heat sink. And that's a heat sink for your M.2 drive. And what we'll start to see here is if I pull back, is my actual like M.2 drive for my storage is down here, which is nice because it's in a little bit cooler of an area because you're gonna have a lot of that heat rising. But the actual heat sink is up here and there's nothing underneath it, and you can start to see some of the shine of the plastic film underneath there. This is a lot harder to do one-handed than I thought it would end up being. But played out. Looks like we have a little spacer there. It has the screw already set for that size. And you can see on the back of here, oh, just lost the screw. Awesome. Still have that film on the back there. And if I set this down close over to here, should end up being, yeah, this is too big. No wonder they didn't put it over there. They have two of them next to here. Man, it says quite a few M.2 drives. Have one right here, so one right there, one right here, plus in this one up above here. I'm just gonna swap the storage drive from down here. It's a nice 1 terabyte data from there, put it up over here. I'll double check to make sure that my set screw underneath it is in the right spot as well. I might need to have to just take some photos of this to be able to help speed that along. Okay, I have that transferred over. Now I just need to get the plastic peeled off the heatsink right here and get that added over. And actually, I also need to find the screw that I lost. That fell somewhere here. Hopefully it's on the seat right now. Okay, time to get that film off of there. And let's go ahead and set this down. You can tell there's a little divot right there. It's because for some reason they left the M.2 screw from up above here, and the actual like mounting piece on there, they just completely left it in. Shouldn't affect anything at all, but oh, tight space. Hard to do this one-handed. Get it all lined back up. Oh man, that looks bad. There we go. Okay, go ahead and add those screws in. Okay, now that's back on, you'll be able to help dissipate that heat just a little bit better on there. Granted, a fair amount of heat comes off of the graphics card and off the CPU itself. I'll start checking the CPU here in a little bit. Next piece I want to try and do, I just want to pop off these power supplies, help check them, and I also want to help check to just see how the GPU is connecting up against that PCIe Express slot down there, and just make sure everything's looking okay. So one thing that I do like to see though is because there's 3 sets of the actual graphics card cords having to go there, it's at least nice to see that there's at least 2 of these dedicated going. Most all the different graphics card cords have it to where for each one there's 2 different spots. I do like to be able to try and have as many coming from straight from the actual power supply as possible. So I'll see if there's a third one, because if there's a third one, I'll run 3 separate going to these instead of piggybacking off the other. I doubt it makes too much of a difference, but I like doing it, just a nice peace of mind. We've already checked to make sure that it's on the power mode, not the quiet mode. So we're set over there towards the left. Go ahead and get this unscrewed and go on to the next step. Wish I knew how all those different guys made this look so much nicer and easier whenever doing this. So, screws not too bad, but don't forget right down here, right up next to the motherboard, see if you can see that with my hand, you got to make sure to help push this clip over, the extra retaining clip, helping to hold the GPU in place. I'm actually surprised there's not a little GPU stand with this one for how heavy this actual graphics card is. Let's see if we can't get this out of here. Thought I had the screws all the way undone. There we go. And graphics card's so heavy it's reseating it back down there. Did it again. There we go. Okay. So, nice big Republic of Gamers. This is where I'll start to check to make sure any extra plastic film's been taken off of here. So that way it doesn't get caught up in there before. Set this to the side for now. Helps check. I've seen many times these clips have been broken. They look great on here, which is nice to see, because they are hard. I've had it to where the main one was broken and I needed it up there, and so I had to be real careful trying to pull one off down here to actually swap it up over there to help keep it working. Nice battery. I've seen some cool stuff where you can get some stickers to cover up on the battery on the top there. Makes it look a little bit nicer. And since I have the graphics card out, what I think I'll work on next before putting that back in is I like to change the thermal paste. There's been a few times that I've had it to where I've just checked it to be sure, and I've heard horror stories to where people have been running it and they start actually using it under higher load, and then all of a sudden it just starts overheating and the system will crash. Only to find out that whoever built the computer forgot to take the plastic film off. Or this computer's been sitting long enough that for some reason it didn't get seated properly and the thermal paste started to dry out, or it got too hot. I don't know what was going on. I just like to swap it out, put brand new fresh stuff, and help go from there. So let's help to try and start checking that out. Ooh, I forgot to check to see. I'm gonna check and see if I have the second power cord for the CPU. I'm gonna check to also see if I have that third power cord for the GPU here. Let's get it flipped over. Well, that's never, oh, I forgot. Oh, bummer. Okay. The screw for the graphics card. Nice. Just got that set aside. I don't have a dedicated spot for just working on the computers, so I need to try and figure something like that out. I keep doing this. We have SATA cables and I'm seeing no second CPU. Some power supplies have them, some don't. And so this isn't a modular. And we just have the two, sorry, you could have just been looking at my feet right now and I was not paying attention because I was trying to look at this here. But looks like we just have the two GPU cables. So not really room for off of this power supply if you wanted to actually expand and add in like a second graphics card, which if you have a 3080 Ti, not quite sure why you need to, you have room to, but you do at least have extra power supplies if you're wanting to add in some extra SSDs. They're nice and easy to be able to have, a little bit cheaper sometimes than the M.2 drives. You do have room for a couple extra M.2s if you want to, especially if you're helping to expand from there. Sometimes the hard drives, the physical ones, are pretty nice as long as you get some of those nice 7200 RPM ones to be able to expand. But let's go ahead and so no CPU power supply extra. Sometimes there's two, especially for the fact that actually I need to do some research to figure out why sometimes you need the extra CPU connector on there. GPU should be fine, and let's pop off the CPU plate and check the thermal paste. Bailey came by to say hi, wondering what's going on. Oh, Bailey. You gonna relax over there? Hi? Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. Uh-oh, he's always coming too. Hi, Zoe. Good girl. Yeah, good girl. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get that CPU cooler off and help swap out some thermal paste. So I'm just gonna start by taking off those screws and seeing what it looks like. Okay, I just went through on those 4 Phillips screws right here, 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 and here, and got that undone. And gotta be careful because of how tight the wiring is on there. Let's check and see. Nice. Thermal paste looks nice and wet. I'm still gonna go ahead and wipe that off just to be able to try and help clean that up and add on some new thermal paste. Otherwise though, it does look like a fairly good job that was put on there, which is good to see. Always happy to be able to see that it was done right and just help go from there. So on this particular brand of cooler, the actual power to be able to help connect up into it was removable, which helps save a little bit of space on there. Nice copper piece on there. I think I'm going to add a little bit more than what they did. You can see a couple of the corners down here at the bottom didn't quite reach it all the way. So I'll help to get that, start to get this wiped off and then help go from there, add some more on, help get it cleaned up. I'm gonna wipe it down with a little bit of alcohol, put some alcohol on a paper towel. I like to use 99% isopropyl alcohol. Helps dry up nice and quick and help get it cleaned up from there. I didn't have any goop or anything off to the side, so I don't really need to use the Q-tips or anything. So I have my paper towel soaked with the isopropyl alcohol. Just help wipe this nice and clean. You see some of that shine right there. Nice, give that a chance to dry. Wiped off the bulk on here. Got most of that off there. Great, so nice and clean. Let that dry up and help to apply some new thermal paste right on top of the chip there. So everybody likes to apply thermal paste, different thermal compound. Again, I use the Arctic MX4. All my computers I've ever messed with, this is what I use. Ooh, fingers dried out pretty quick from that isopropyl alcohol. Nice and dry already. So one thing that I want to try and help ensure, I always try and dot into the corners. Let's see if I can show both these at the same time. I just start making a little bit of pattern on there. Get small amounts spread throughout. It might look like a lot when I'm doing, but I'm really trying not to put very much at all. It should squish together real nice now. If you're really worried about it, you can always sit and try and use the little plastic spudging tool that comes with it and sit and smear it all over the place. This should work just fine. Once you actually get it compressed in there, it'll be just good. And if you're in doubt that you're not sure how well it actually smears around, once you actually secure it down on the cooler, going down on top there, take it back off, take a look, see how well it did. I really wanted to make sure that I got some in the corners. I mean, I could just sit and tap some more there if I really wanted to. I've seen some people go through and just try and do some. So I'm not adding any more right now. I'm just trying to spread it out a little bit before. Why not? Have fun with it. Make happy little trees. There we go. Cool. So I have my nice and clean plate right here off the cooler. Just gonna go ahead and get that set back down. Once I have that set down, I'm gonna go ahead and secure those 4 screws. Okay, got it secured back down again. I have my pump power connector hooked back up. We've already checked our RAM sticks, helping to make sure that they're in the appropriate slots, the 2nd and the 4th one. We don't have an extra power supply for the CPU, so we don't need to worry about that. We got our heatsink added up here for our M.2 drive. Obviously, if you don't have an M.2 drive, don't need to worry about that. Just go around, try and double check some of your different connections. Sometimes those come loose, like right there. Just that USB hub right there, that was already almost falling out. Again, trying to help double check stuff. Obviously don't try and push too hard, but just helping to make sure stuff's connected. Try and help check any of this other stuff over here before I start buttoning stuff up. This seems a little odd to me. Can't tell if the frame shift has actually caused this. It's actually at a bit of an angle there. I don't know what's going on with it, the Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi seemed to connect whenever I had to boot it up to be able to check it. Otherwise, we're good. I didn't hear any air bubbles coming from the 240 millimeter radiator cooler, so that was nice to be able to see. That's the only kind of issue that could happen over time with this AIO, is just having something like that happen. In case something like that does start to happen on it, I am a big fan of some of the nice big Cooler Master heat sinks that come off there. 8 little thermal pipes that are connected up, and then they have a fan on it, help to blow air out and cut right out towards the exit. Does real nice. So let's go ahead and get the GPU put back in, and there's really only one other thing that I'd recommend to do after that. So right as I say that, of course, I start remembering, yep, check for this. Once you start using your GPU over time, this is you're gonna get hot. The film on here is going to start to loosen up, and it looks like none of the film was taken off. So gotta try and pick at it some, help to peel it up. I'm not looking for perfect, but I just don't want any of this stuff falling off, get caught up inside anything inside there for the fans. And all of a sudden being like, what in the world? Why do I have some type of plastic film, or what's happening? There we go. Nice. Finally got all those different stickers off, so it's time to go ahead and get it added back into the computer. And I'm not going to do this one-handed, so I'm going to have to move on forward here. So I can definitely tell this GPU has some weight behind it, because one thing you can start to notice is right here, you can actually see it's having a hard time trying to get the screws to be able to fit inside there. But that little bit of an extra gap happening there, the metal actually warped again in a whole nother spot from getting tossed around. The weight of this setting and shifting over on the GPU. Definitely think I'm going to try and get one of the GPU stands to be able to try and help add some extra support out here towards the far outer edge. Let's go ahead and get the power connected back up. Make sure that you're being careful on getting that little extra lip, and get to focus in this little lip right there, up and over when you're connecting them up. Nice, got it all connected back up. Seated in there, real good. Everything else has been checked. Any of my other different fan pieces helped pressed in. Swapped out thermal paste. Fans are looking good. Might still need to do some extra bending on the metal to try and get it back into shape to help hold stuff, and definitely some extra support over here to help out for the GPU. But I think we should be set to get stuff put back together. The last piece of advice that I'd recommend, if you feel up for it, it's not as hard as you might think it is, but once you've gotten your computer started up and you've gone through and done your stuff for Windows 11, is try and get into the BIOS. It's as simple as when the computer first gets up, you hit the delete button and find the fan speeds. Kick those fan speeds up. Most of the fans anymore now are, honestly, they're quiet. I see no reason on why not to actually increase those fan speeds. They don't use that much power in the first place. It can just help out that much more. Get all that extra cool air coming in towards here. Help out your GPU. If you're gonna be gaming hard on this thing, help keep this thing cool, okay? From there though, double check to make sure, because this does happen sometimes. Make sure if this is a 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM, make sure that it's actually running at 3200 megahertz. You might need to turn on the XMP in the BIOS. I don't know how many times I've always seen have my 3200 megahertz RAM on here, and it'll be, for some reason, all of a sudden stopped, and it'll go all the way back down to 2133, back down to like the stock levels on it. Not sure why. That's what the actual RAM is set to be able to go to, but for some reason it doesn't set and stay there. So definitely try and check that out. If I can make a video on being able to get into it, I'll try and do the best on it, but those are my main tips. Double check to make sure that your actual graphics card is seated in nice and well. Make sure that the clip down there isn't broken. Make sure you have your heatsink added on for the M.2 drive. Swap out thermal paste. Easy enough to do. Helps you out on setting a time period. You change oil in the car, you should be swapping out thermal paste at least once a year, especially if you're using the computer heavy. It's not going to hurt anything to be able to get that stuff swapped out. Definitely every now and then help to shut off your computer. Check to see if you hear any air bubbles swishing back and forth on your computer. Check to make sure your cables are seated properly. Make sure that your RAM sticks are put in the appropriate spot. Kick up the fan speeds, especially these front ones and your back exit one right here. Probably don't want to mess with your actual pump speeds at all. Just have them set to a temperature curve and you should be golden. So if this is your first time trying to get checked out on here, definitely help give some advice. I'm trying to just help pass along some stuff. Hopefully this helps you guys out. Have a good one. Peace, everybody. So I'm happy things turned out good. Looks nice going in on there. Nice little surprise that there's some RGB on the front of the GPU there. But it's looking pretty sharp. I got stuff bent back as best as I could. There is a couple different rivets I need to actually try and add in there and get fixed, but thankfully at least the fans are working good. So also make sure you get it hooked up to your backup battery supply. I just think that's a really good thing to be able to help do.